Hey YouTube, this is Peter Hall. Um, I'm gonna do a commentary review of the public comment segments for the last Redlands Unified School District meeting. There's like a couple of comments that I want to respond to at the meeting. I wasn't there and I didn't get to speak because I was celebrating Mother's Day and my mom's birthday, and the meeting happened on like Tuesday, the May 12th. But here we go.
On the 250th anniversary resolution, I think I said everything I needed to say last time, and obviously it went unheard, as usual, because none of my concerns are addressed in the current version. Ms. Olson, considering your past behavior, I know you have no shame about promoting your religion in the school board. Your use of the words faith and values in this resolution is part of your larger agenda to introduce religion into schools, and it continues your troubling pattern, such as your campaign behavior, where you openly violated the law by having your church endorse you and campaign for you. And at the last meeting, where your largest campaign contributor came up here and advocated for teaching from the Bible. I understand. You cannot conceive of others having a perspective or religion different than your own.
Excuse me, that's not an agenda item.
It is in the resolution.
Her campaign and that's not an agenda item.
When she introduces words like faith and values and tries to introduce her religion into this resolution, it is irrelevant. I just want to remind Ms. Olson that as a member of the public school board, you are the state, and your attempts to inject religion into public schools are illegal. The other problem with this resolution is its attempt to paint our nation as perfect, deterring people from looking at our history honestly and critically. While our country has much to be proud of, it is not perfect. Only by looking at history and our present circumstances honestly will we as a country have any hope of making improvements. Our 250th anniversary is an important opportunity for us to engage in self-reflection as a country, but this resolution does not encourage that. In fact, it does the exact opposite. It ignores both the shortcomings of our past and the challenges we currently face. I fully expect this resolution will pass because no one wants to be labeled as unpatriotic. But the truth is, the words in this resolution only divide us further. And while that isn't surprising coming from you, it is still appalling.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, so the first public comment speaker that I'm going to talk about is named Michael Paisner, and he actually had two agenda items in this video, but I cut one out, and I'm only going to talk about his second one. This is this is the agenda items public comment segment, and yeah, like I said, he had two agenda item public comments. I cut out the first one, and I'm going to talk about the second one. The second one, he brought up how America's 250th anniversary, and how the Redlands United School District is getting ready to celebrate it. He berated school board member Candy Olson. She is a frequent target of his. Just about every meeting that we have, that the school board has, he's there, and he berates Candy Olson. Other popular targets of his are council member Jeanette Wilson and board president Michelle Rendler, but Candy is his favorite. She's the one that he berates the most. He accused her of injecting her Christian faith into the policy proposal for the 250th celebration, and said that she broke the law by having her church campaign for her. And he claimed that her putting faith-based and other religious sounding words into the policy proposal, that she was injecting Christianity into school politics, and that's illegal because the government cannot favor one religion over another. And I just have to ask you, Mike, do you have a problem with cities in America that are becoming Muslim majority? Because like there's a few that are getting pretty close and to Muslim majority. There's Dearborn, Michigan, and then there's Hamtramck, Michigan, and Hamtramck, Michigan. Uh, the city council is entirely governed by Muslim council members, and Dearborn is a little bit more diverse on the council, but the mayor of Dearborn publicly chastised a Christian pastor, and I'm gonna have to look up the guy's name. I'll find a video clip of this later, but he publicly chastised a Christian pastor who was speaking out about how he didn't think it was right for the city to rename some public streets in Dearborn after Islamic heroes or whatever. And the Muslim mayor of Dearborn said that he wasn't welcome in the city. So and in these cities, like the Muslim call to prayer is blasted like at 5 p.m. and it's blasted on like several times a day because Muslims pray 5 times a day, and non-Muslims actually don't like that, Mike. They don't like having the Muslim call to prayer blasted multiple times a day, especially early in the morning. But people like you don't really care about that, do you? You and other members of Together for Redlands constantly talk about how great diversity is and how diversity is our strength, and you chastise Candy Olson and others for injecting their religious beliefs into the politics, and especially at the school board level and stuff. But I don't think you have a problem when like that same thing happens with Muslims. You don't have a problem with kids going to mosques and being made to do the Islamic prayer and stuff like that. You don't have a problem with Muslims taking over cities and stuff like that and forcing people to not drink alcohol or not eat forbidden meat and stuff like that, meat that isn't halal, forcing people not to walk their dogs in public because dogs are considered unclean in Islam. You probably don't have a problem with that. You also, as much as you and other Together for Redlands members advocate for LGBTQ rights and stuff like that, you never mention how like Muslims are the worst persecutors of gay and trans people. You only target Christians for that, even though most Christians, all they do is vocally object to the homosexual and trans lifestyles. But you don't complain about the Muslims like throwing gay people off roofs or hanging gays or whatever else they do. You don't object to like Muslims stoning women for things like having sex outside of marriage, and that used to happen in Judaism and Christianity too. But you don't object when Muslims do that. You don't object when Muslims beat women or kill women just for not wearing the veils in public or not having their hair uncovered, etc. I haven't heard you talk about that. You constantly complain about Israel, but you don't complain about Iran brutalizing protesters and stuff like that. So your concern about Candy Olson injecting her Christian beliefs into politics is one-sided and pretty absurd, actually, I think. Also, regarding your advocacy for the LGBTQ, you say it's wrong for Candy Olson and other people to inject their Christian beliefs into politics, but you advocate for LGBTQ people to inject the cult of to inject the cult of transgenderism and the cult of homosexuality into the school system. You advocate for that, and I heard that at a couple meetings you aren't even like standing up to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Like I heard at like I think the meeting before this last one, you sat down and didn't recite the pledge. Not that you have to do that; nobody's forced. But it's interesting how you claim to be a patriot when you you claim that you have great respect for America, even though you want acknowledge its flaws and stuff like that. But I don't think you respect or love this country at all. You want to change everything about it. You want to put the LGBTQ pride flag above the American flag. So, yeah, I think you're a liar, Mike. You're a liar.
Welcome, Erico.
Thank you. Regarding celebration of America's 250th anniversary, I want to say that I love this country. I'm deeply grateful that I received my education here in the United States, was able to build my life here, raise my children here, and see them receive a wonderful education as well. However, with the ongoing war and the impact of immigration enforcement, it is incredibly difficult for me to bring myself to celebrate. We have students and staff members who are directly affected by these realities. Just recently, I was speaking with a staff member who has lost contact with her parents and siblings because the phone line has been shut off due to bombing. She's deeply worried about her family, yet she continues to show extraordinary dedication in her work in a special education classroom that is severely understaffed. I also saw a photo of a student protesting downtown, holding a sign that read, "Return my father." My heart truly breaks for them. Additionally, I hope our district does not repeat what Chino Valley School District did by allowing political organizations to be involved in such a celebration. In that case, a speaker affiliated with neo-Nazi was invited, and the district made the event part of the regular school assembly without notifying parents or giving them the option to opt their children out. Parents who chose to keep their children home were then criticized for supposedly skipping school or hating America. This kind of narrative is deeply dishonest and runs counter to the values of transparency and integrity. I sincerely hope our district chooses to uphold those values and maintain its integrity. Thank you.
Thank you, Erico.
Okay, so the next public comment speaker is a woman named Erica Grossman, and she's an immigrant from Japan. She says that she's proud to be an immigrant. She's to America from Japan. She's proud to be a citizen of America. Says that she raised a family here. Is proud that her children got good quality education here. And then she talked about how she has friends who are from Iran, and they're worried about their friends and family in that country, and claims that one of the school district's employees has family over there that is in danger from America's bombs that they've been dropping on Iran. And I'm not going to dispute any of those concerns, but I do think it's interesting and pretty ironic that, once again, these people complain about what America is doing, but they don't have anything to say about what Iran is doing. And Iran is brutalizing people that speak out, even and speak out in any way against the regime. I forget the estimates of how many people have died, but it's been in the tens of thousands. Tens of thousands of people have been arrested and tortured, and many of them have died just because of what they're saying against the government of Iran. And Erica Grossman is only complaining about what America's doing over there. And I'm not going to go either way into whether or not I agree or disagree with the war. It's just something that's happening over there. Whether or not you agree or disagree, that's your opinion. But yeah, I'm just talking about how these people complain about what America's doing, but they won't complain about what the government of Iran is doing. And they're claiming that the government of Iran is like a victim, and it's not. The people over there are certainly victims from us and from their own government. Anyway, she also has a son, and I haven't seen him in a while, but he used to be a regular fixture at school board meetings. She has a son who is presenting as a a female, and he's had like I guess breast augmentation, or like he's stuffing. He's wearing a bra and stuffing it or something to make it look like he has boobs or something. But yeah, he presents as female, and it's been a while since he's shown up. But when he showed up, he would constantly like scream at the board members and say "fuck you" and stuff like that. So I wonder why he doesn't show up anymore, Erico. Is it because you know that he's damaging Together for Redlands LGBTQ advocacy? Is that why he hasn't shown up yet? Because you know how divisive he is? Because he was one of the members who was like one of the biggest firecrackers. Yeah, he's a firecracker. I forget his name, but yeah, like he presents as female, and you're allowing it. Now, I think a lot of parents who say that they have a trans kid actually coerced their child into identifying as trans. Although I am reading a book called One Day I'll Grow Up and Be a Beautiful Woman by Abby Maxwell, who it's an autobiographical account of, in her words, describing her son become her daughter. And she claims that her son, who she never names, she never gives the reader his original name, but they change his name to Greta. And she says that her son just decided one day at like around 6 years old to be a girl, and she was resistant to it, but eventually she got on board and advocated for him to be able to be a girl at school and whatever. So, did you coerce your son into doing that, Erico, or did he just decide one day that he was going to be a girl and you just went along with it? Either way, shame on you.
Next, it's Kate Appleby with 2 items, Dale Broom and Rebecca Lohman.
Good evening, board. Kate
Welcome.
Thank you. Kate Appleby, Area 4, 16B and 18C. So I have to share that when I read the revised resolution for celebrating America's 250th anniversary, I had to pull out the previous one and do a side-by-side comparison because there are wild changes, both good and some questionable. But I do want to highlight a few things. First, I understand this is a draft, but I'm hoping you can explain why in a draft you have the title being designated September 2026 or August through December 2026, but yet it seems like you made a decision in item number 2 that it would be the month of September. I'm sure it's just a clerical error. As I said, this is a draft, and you might change it. I do, however, in that number 2, take great offense with the line, when student and staff energy is high. Our USD students and staff have high energy every single month. And singling out September because it's when their energy is high is just rude to our staff, to our students, and quite frankly, has no bearing on this entire proposal. Number 3 there talks about patriotic assemblies, lessons, discussions, essay contests, but doesn't talk about any of the essay contest topics like it does for the other elements. And so I'm wondering what those essay topics would be. As a parent, I would like to know that. It also, interestingly enough, removed from projects honoring veterans the additional phrase, and civic leaders. And I'm wondering why you made that change. I would like to look at this in the light of Board Policy 6115, particularly Section 5, which states that district and school-sponsored events and activities must align with the district's educational goals, promoting civic understanding without emphasizing or endorsing particular political, social, or religious beliefs. As a parent, I want to know how I will be informed about the topics of those assemblies, those lessons, those discussions, those essay topics, those projects, and those events. Following with that, the first paragraph of Board Policy 6144 states that instruction concerning controversial issues has to engage with respect for others in understanding and tolerance of diverse points of view. Given the current dissentious political environment in the United States of America, will teachers and staff be trained in explicit, topic-specific, age-appropriate ways to foster and maintain that respect for others and that understanding and tolerance of diverse views? 18C. Your final layoff resolution for classified staff seals the fate of our elementary school libraries with the layoffs of all the elementary library staff. Superintendent Cabral has shared that the first goal of the district is literacy by grade 3. This is a solid educational goal, but learning to read requires access to a variety of materials, and becoming a lifelong reader requires the support of people who know how to connect readers and books. Is it possible for classroom teachers and classroom libraries to provide both books and support? Sure, but it will be inconsistent. Classroom teachers do not have the depth of book knowledge that library staff do. Classroom libraries vary widely from teacher to teacher, often dependent on the willingness of teachers to spend their own money on books. Our USD has spent money buying books for the elementary libraries. Without library staff, those books will sit unread, collecting dust in closed school libraries, or they will disappear due to loss or damage if classroom teachers are encouraged to use the unstaffed school library. So I'm offering you this challenge. Superintendent Cabral and every single board member. Between now and the end of the year, it's very, very busy. But you know from this room, Candy knows from talking to her constituents out on her walks, that not every parent can show up here. You owe the parents and families of our elementary students an explanation as to what they are going to lose when you cut their school libraries. Because by cutting staff, you've done that. So my challenge to you is to schedule 2 meetings at every single elementary site. That meeting should be led by Superintendent Cabral and the board member who represents that district. You need to look them in the face. And I 2 meetings, 1 meeting during the school day, 1 meeting after working hours, so that all parents, regardless of their working situation, can be there. During that meeting, you need to state to them how losing access is going to help us meet our goal of literacy by grade 3. You need to state explicitly what they are going to lose when their school library closes. I don't want to hear anything about budget. If you want to bring Director Hill with you, that's fine. He can stay after for the Q&A about budget decisions. But I want you to look them in the eyes and be brutally honest with them, because you owe it to them. Here's the challenge. I have my First Amendment right to free speech. You either do this, or my summer project is going to be making sure every elementary parent in our USD knows exactly what you did.
Thank you, Kate.
Okay, so the next speaker is Kate Appleby, and like Michael Paisner, she had 2 agenda items to talk about, but I kept both of them in because I think they're both important. The first comment was, once again, about America's 250th anniversary, and Kate Appleby is a policy wonk. Every meeting, she always accuses the board of breaking some kind of rule. Usually she accuses them of breaking multiple rules in a single meeting. She always has issues with how they word things and word their policies and stuff like that. In her comment about America's 250th anniversary, she brought up policy 6115 section 5 about how when doing civic engagement and stuff like that, how it has to be socially, politically, and religiously neutral, blah, blah, blah. But once again, I have to ask, why do these people, Together for Redlands, always insist on, members of Together for Redlands always insist on social, political, and religious neutrality when what they advocate for, there's nothing socially, politically, or religiously neutral. Together for Redlands is an LGBTQ and specifically trans advocacy group. They are Antifa affiliated, and that when they have spent years advocating the Redlands City Council and the Redlands School Board to implement Pride celebration, implement the Pride flag, give it equal standing with the American flag, and coincidentally, about a month or so ago, maybe 2 months now, Chuck Schumer in the Senate did the same thing. He introduced legislation that, if passed, would give the LGBTQ Pride flag equal standing with the American flag. So she just berated the school board for not making sure that any civic engagement on the part of the school board is socially, politically, and religiously neutral, and yet they have spent years, these people have spent years advocating for LGBTQ pride, which is no way neutral at all. And they complain about, like I said, people like Candy Olson injecting religion into politics. Well, the LGBTQ are a cult, and they are a lot of the most fanatic ones of them behave as if they are religious fanatics. You just have to watch them. They are religious fanatics, even if they claim not to be. Okay, the second comment was about layoffs. The Redlands School District recently implemented something that would lay off I think almost 20 Redlands Unified School District employees, and these are paraprofessionals. I think all of them are going to be, the ones in the latest layoffs are going to be librarians. She's talking about how she's talking about how the school board is screwing over the Redlands Unified School District's public school libraries by laying off the librarians. And so she challenged the school board to go to every school district and talk to the parents about why they're laying off the school librarians. And she issued them a challenge. She said that if they didn't do it, she would tell everybody in the district why they are laying off librarians. And she claims that this is going to cause student literacy to plummet. It's going to result in a lot of the library books going missing or getting damaged, getting stolen, etc. And I think she has a point. I think the school district is wrong to do layoffs from the bottom up instead of from the top down. But while these people sometimes make good points, especially in regards to administrative policy and stuff like that, in regards to hiring and laying off school employees, they also advocate for things that undermine their message of fiscal responsibility and stuff like that. I didn't mention this in my comment about Mike Paisner, but in his video clip, he mentioned how a student was holding up a sign that said, "Please bring back my father," and I don't know who he was talking about, but it sounds to me like this kid's father is an illegal immigrant, and he had years to become a legal resident or a citizen, and he never did. So I don't have any sympathy for him getting deported. I feel bad for the kid. I feel bad that his dad has been sent away from him, but you got to be responsible, and living here for years without becoming a legal resident at the very least is irresponsible. So I have no sympathy. And these people, they whine and bitch about fiscal responsibility, but then they advocate that. Then they demand the school board do things like spend money and resources on educating the children of illegal immigrants. And a lot of these kids don't speak English or don't speak it very well. And because we have to educate them, the school district is holding back the education of the students who are actually citizens and children of citizens. They're holding back their education to focus on the education of illegal immigrants or the children of illegal immigrants who can't speak English or don't speak it very well. And I have a problem with that. And then they also want to waste money on nonsense like teaching kids about LGBTQ pride and history and stuff like that. No, that has no business in the classroom. It has no business in the school at all.
Welcome, Dale.
Thank you, Board. I'd like to address Agenda Item 16B. And I want to bring this to I want to urge the board to adopt this resolution to recognize and celebrate the 250th anniversary of our nation. History warns us that the average duration of a republic form of government is 250 years. This is a landmark that our nation has achieved of going 250 years. There's no guarantee that we're going to exist as a republic and as a nation in 50 years from now. Okay, there's no guarantee that that's happening. In fact, history would predict it's not going to last. So this, it reminds me of a quote that's given by Benjamin Franklin on the 17th of September in 1787, as he was walking out of the Constitutional Convention. A lady asked him, named Elizabeth Powell, "What form of government have you given us, Dr. Franklin?" And he said, "A republic, if you can keep it." And this is a very important statement because it is not guaranteed that we can keep this republic unless we transmit to our future generations a love for this nation and a respect for its foundation and a support for our constitutional form of government. And Ronald Reagan also made a very important statement. He said, "Freedom is no more than one generation away from extinction." And that is something that why we need to celebrate this 250th anniversary. This next generation needs to have a love for this country, a patriotic view of this nation, and we need to instill in them a strong sense of that and a commitment to our country. And I want to urge our teachers, our administrators, and our principals to make great opportunity of this event to celebrate this by teaching our kids about the freedoms, the rights that we have as a people that are guaranteed in our Constitution, and also the foundations of our nation, which is "In God We Trust." It is a message, that is our national motto. I know some people don't like that, but it is our national motto. And to say in our resolution here that faith and conviction were important to our founders in the founding of this nation, it would be an absolute denial of truth. This is absolutely true, and we should keep that statement in our resolution because it was principle in founding this nation. Okay, and also this statement does not promote a state religion. Okay, separation of church and state is not in the Constitution, and it's not in the Declaration of Independence. Okay, and that statement was only to protect the churches from invasion and control by the state. Okay, so what we need to do is make sure that we promote the concepts of "In God We Trust," "E Pluribus Unum." That's what is on all of our coinage. Okay, "In God We Trust" and "E Pluribus Unum" from many.
Thank you, Dale. Thank you.
The next speaker is a man named Dr. Dale Broom. He's actually a friend of mine. He's running for Redlands School Board. I think he's running for the seat against Vice President Patty Holohan. Yeah, I think that's it. She's been on the school board for over 20 years, and she needs to go. Anyway, Dr. Dale Broom, his public comment, he talked about how 250 years is the average of how long a country lasts before it goes into decline, and unfortunately America is in its decline. Maybe we can reverse it for a while anyway, but we are in decline. You just need to look at the state of many of the inner cities, especially the Democrat-dominated cities, and you can't deny that we're going downhill. He said that it's necessary in order to stave off decline that citizens be taught about the history of their country and to appreciate their country. And I agree with that statement. America is culturally unique because we believe in what we call rugged individualism, how the individual is more important than the state. Most other countries are collective, and the interests of the individual are subverted to meet the needs of the state. So yeah, most other countries are collective. We're more individualistic, and there needs to be a balance. We need to respect the interest and needs of the individuals while acknowledging that we need to come together to promote the needs of the collective, of everybody. And yeah, so I liked what he had to say. The members of Together for Redlands won't admit this. They don't feel comfortable to admit it. If they did feel comfortable, they would. They claim to be patriotic. They claim to love this country. But if they felt comfortable enough, they would admit that they despise this country and they want to destroy it and start another country. And that country would be built upon the premise of nonsense like promoting homosexuality, transgenderism, the oppression of minorities, racial minorities, and how they need to get back at white people and straight men and stuff like that, how women need to get back at straight men. That's what it would be built on. And if these people are cultural Marxists, and if the cultural Marxists ever took complete control over America, these people would be executed and disposed of immediately after power was gained, because in just about every instance in history when like radical revolutionaries took control of a nation, they used intellectuals to cause disruption among the populace, and then once they took power, then they got rid of the intellectuals, because the intellectuals would eventually disagree with them and stuff like that, and they don't want dissent being spread among the people, so the intellectuals would be gotten rid of. At first they would promote things like sexual promiscuity among men and women and gay rights and stuff like that, but then they would turn on the sexual liberty crowd. They did that in communist Russia. When communist Russia first started, gays and trannies enjoyed unprecedented levels of freedom, but then after a while they were put into the gulags and executed because they had served their purpose. So yeah, sexual promiscuity and stuff like that was tolerated and promoted for a time, but then it was disposed of. And these people just have no clue at all about anything that they talk about. So I agree with what Dr. Dale Broom said. He mentioned how we need to put God back into our civic discourse and our public slogans like "E pluribus unum," from many and out of many into one and stuff like that. And that's the problem with America and other Western countries today. Everybody's promoting diversity and stuff like that, but you fracture a nation's cultural identity when you do that, especially if you don't let it happen naturally. And these like third world migrants, many of whom are leeches and parasites and violent criminals, are being imported en masse into America, into Canada, into Great Britain, etc., and they are destroying our countries. So yeah, good statement, Dale. First segment of public comment. This is the agenda items public comment. Now we're on to general public comment. Here we go.
Now it's time for public participation. Public comments are permitted upon submission of a completed registration card prior to the start of public participation. This is not a forum for debate. Policy concerns will be referred to the superintendent. When called, speakers may proceed to the podium, state their name and trustee area, and speak for the allotted time. The amount of time will be announced by the board president before the first speaker begins and will not exceed 3 minutes. How many speakers do we have?
We have 5 registered, but I only see 4 of them present.
All right, you'll get 3 minutes.
First is Michael Paisner, followed by Erico Grossman and Kate Appleby.
Welcome back, Michael.
Thank you, Mike Paisner, Area 5. I want to thank you for that interesting discussion of that resolution, because I think it was really telling. The original version had a lot of words in that I think say something about people's perspectives. Words that started with instill, require, call upon. Those are words of authority, of control. giving orders. And what it was changed to, or at least suggested in many cases, were words like encourage and invite, in which you respect people's autonomy. And I think that's really important to keep using words like that. And I think when people use words like require and instill, and they have a history of posting discriminatory posts and posting hateful images, and combine that with words like require and instill, it's going to cause people to be scared. It's going to cause people to be angry. Because if you're discriminatory and you're using those types of words, how do you expect people to react? I think there's a lesson to be learned, and I'm not sure everyone here is capable of learning it. Yes, Miss Olson, I'm looking at you, and Miss Wilson. You need to consider your language. Words are important, particularly in the education form, where if you want to inspire a student, you don't command them, you inspire them. I think that's a lesson that's been missing. And I'm hoping you look back at this conversation that you had and consider the language and consider your approach, because there's a lot of room for improvement. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
So the next speaker for public comment is Mike Paisner. And once again, he talks about the policy proposal to celebrate America's 250th anniversary. And he talks about how he doesn't like their word usage, like to instill and basically what he said was that word usage is it suggests he thinks it's authoritarian because it requires that students do something or whatever, and I just think that that's curious that he has a problem with like this word usage when he and members of Together for Redlands, if they had their way, students would be required to use the preferred pronouns for people who identify as trans. And if you don't use preferred pronouns or whatever, you're gonna get into trouble for bullying and stuff like that. So he berates the school for like trying to force students to say and do things they may not believe and may not want to do, but he and his fellow Together for Redlands members have no problem doing that themselves. And he said that they need to like insert softer words like inspire and encourage and etc. Once again, he took pot shots at Candy Olson and Jeanette Wilson. He claimed that there's a lesson to be learned in all of this, but they aren't capable of learning it, blah, blah, blah. I'm just sick and tired of listening to this guy. Every time he speaks, he has to sigh dramatically like that. Yeah, these people are self-important peacocks. Everything they do is for an audience. The outrage that they project, I think, is very theatrical. If you notice how like members of Awaken Redlands speak, conservative members, or even people who are unaffiliated, they don't use the emotional language that members of Together for Redlands use. And it didn't happen at this meeting, but it happens at just about every other meeting that I've been to. They will berate and accuse the school board of being racists, white supremacists, fascists, Nazis, etc. I've seen people scream "fuck you" at board members and stuff like that. These people will, if they can get away with it, will use emotional language and emotional arguments. And recently they've been trying to be conciliatory and use some more logical reasoned arguments, but if you pay attention to what they say, you can see the cracks through their veneer of logic and rationality. And like I said, if you notice how people who are opposed to them or who are neutral speak, they don't make emotional arguments. They don't insult the school board members. And these people often do. So.
I don't think Erico's here. Kate?
Welcome back, Kate.
Thanks. Superintendent Cabral, the interruption of public participation to clarify the shift in provider for after-school care at some sites was actually incredibly rude. It seems like you were actually the one who was misinformed about what parents were told, and you managed to disparage the YMCA in the process. I don't know how that was capable, but you did it. You and President Rendler, who allowed that interruption, should have listened to board member Ayala Quintero when she voiced concern for allowing it. Her recommendation was wise. Your allowance of it was not. I am hoping that at the second meeting in June, when you talk about AI, I would like to have the cost for Gemini for students, considering that our district is in dire financial straits right now. I also want to know how you plan to enforce AI usage limits at the different levels with respect to the time and expertise of our staff. Board members Olson and Wilson, what do you have against the word democracy and democratic? If you're going to press board member Ayala Quintero about the word patriot, then you owe us the same explanation for your own loathing of certain words. As a reminder, we are a federal republic, but whether we are a democracy or not depends upon us. For most of our 250-year history, we have been a representative democracy, and your insistence that we never mention democracy or democratic ignores a key aspect of our history. And while I think I got most of the edits for resolution number 2025-2026-31, I would like to know when it will be available for the public view and where we can expect to find it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate.
Okay, so the next public speaker is Kate Appleby, and she chastises Superintendent Juan Cabral for something that happened earlier in the meeting. After one of these speakers for agenda items public comment, he felt the need to clarify what the school board was doing and why. A bunch of people during the agenda items public comment segment were talking to the school board about they wanted to know why the school board was transitioning after school curriculum programming from the YMCA to the Boys and Girls Club, and a bunch of people are against it. A bunch of people say that the YMCA is a lot better than the Boys and Girls Club, and they don't want the school to switch. I actually have no opinion on that, but I'm not going to talk about that because I have no opinion, but a bunch of people don't like it. And they want the school to stay with the YMCA and not switch over to the Boys and Girls Club. And Superintendent Juan Cabral, after one of the speakers, felt the need to talk about the school board's decision. And I'm going to show you what he said, because he did spend a couple minutes talking about what the school board was doing and responding to people's concerns. But anyway, here it is, and then I'm going to go back to talking about Kate Appleby's criticism of what he said.
I know this is not quite the order, but I did want to get permission from the board to address at least the ACES program component, because I know we have several speakers. Would that be okay?
I would say it'd probably be best just to wait, just because I don't want this to become a
common practice. But if the majority of the board is
feel
fine
like
with it.
they're passionate parents, and I really wanted to respond to it because they've been misled, and I really would like to clarify it. But I can wait. I just thought I'd do it right now. Okay, just so that, and I know there are other speakers, and we do want to hear from you, but I assure you the ACES program is not going away. Okay, we will have after-school programs at our sites where we have after-school programs right now. There is no cost to our parents. There was some information sent out by the YMCA staff today that I believe was a little misleading because it included that ACES program was going to be discontinued, and that is not accurate. What is accurate is the board is considering a partnership with the Boys and Girls Club. We currently partner with both YMCA and Boys and Girls Club. If you have YMCA at your site, then you wouldn't be familiar with Boys and Girls Club, but they very much support after-school programs at other sites. What we are recommending is that we have some of our YMCA sites shift to Boys and Girls Club. And those sites that have Boys and Girls Club right now are doing extremely well and have participation that is, if you are familiar with anybody that's at the school, for example, Beatty has Boys and Girls Club, over 100 kids participate. It is a tremendous program that is free, and you will also have the opportunity next school year. And so I just want to clarify that for anybody that's coming up. To our parents, we are going to have after-school programs for your kids at your sites next year.
So, as you can see, Superintendent Juan Cabral felt the need to clarify what the school board is doing regarding the YMCA and the Boys and Girls Club. And he said that the school is utilizing both of them, and some sites that are currently in partnership with the YMCA are going to be transitioning to the Boys and Girls Club. Like I said, I have no opinion on this. I don't have a dog in this fight, so I'm not going to comment further on that, on what the school is doing regarding that. But what I will comment about is I think Kate Appleby said that District Superintendent Juan Cabral was rude when he interrupted agenda items public comment to give his comment about what the school board is doing. And I think Kate Appleby was the one who was being rude. I don't see any problem with what Superintendent Juan Cabral did. And like she said, council member and board clerk Alyssa Ayala Quintero said that she thought the school he should wait until after public comment was over, and obviously he decided not to. Kate Appleby thinks that Alyssa Ayala Quintero's suggestion was wise and correct. I don't know. I 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. What he did, I don't really care. I don't know why it bothered Kate Appleby, but everything President Rendler and council members Candy Olson and Jeanette Wilson do, and Superintendent Juan Cabral is also a target. Everything they do pisses off Together for Redlands members. So you just can't please these people, so don't even try. Also, regarding council member Alyssa Ayala Quintero and board vice president Patty Hallahan, they are affiliated with the group Together for Redlands, just like council member Candy Olson and Jeanette Wilson are affiliated with the group Awaken Redlands, which I am a part of. The only politically neutral members of the board are President Michelle Rendler and Superintendent Juan Cabral. But I just want to say that nobody from Awaken Redlands has ever talked to board members Alyssa Ayala Quintero and board vice president Patty Hallahan the way members of Together for Redlands talk to President Rendler and board members Candy Olson and Jeanette Wilson and Superintendent Juan Cabral. We don't talk to them the way that members of Together for Redlands talk to them. So, like, we disagree with Vice President Patty Hallahan and board member Alyssa Ayala Quintero, but we have never talked to them the way that Together for Redlands members talk to President Rendler, Candy Olson, Jeanette Wilson, and Superintendent Juan Cabral. You people are disgusting and shameful. and I'm sick of your theatrics. In her general public comment, where she chastised Superintendent Juan Cabral for interrupting the agenda items public comment segment, Kay Appleby also chastised council members, board members, Candy Wilson and Jeanette Olson, and asked them what they have against the word democracy, and claimed that, I don't know if or when they did this, but she claimed that they criticized board member Alyssa Ayala Quintero for criticizing the word patriot. So she asked them what they have against the word democracy, and I think in answer to that question, Dale Broom said it best. He mentioned a story about Benjamin Franklin walking out of the assembly where the Constitution was ratified, and some lady walked up to him and said, "What kind of government had they just been given?" And he answered, "A republic, madam, if you can keep it." And one of the quotes most often attributed to Benjamin Franklin is that democracy is nothing more than two wolves and a lamb deciding what they're going to have for lunch. Democracy is mob rule. Democracy is where the majority rules and the minority have no rights. The majority can do whatever they want. And in a republic, while the majority rules, the minority still has rights that the majority can't violate. So I hope that answers your question, Kate.
Next is Addison Lohman, but I don't see her. And last is Dale Broom.
Welcome back, Dale.
Thank you, President Rendler. Dale Broom, Area 1. I do want to bring up one more time this issue that parental notification policy was brought and requested to be placed on the agenda and has been blocked again. I understand there's reasons, but I think that it would be very wise for this board to explain to the public why it's being blocked. Okay, and I'm not going to be pointing fingers or anything like this, but this is no small issue. I mean, I've been out canvassing over large segments of South Loma Linda and South Redlands, and this is an issue that is coming up. We need to have good communication with parents, particularly regarding any of these issues that affect their student records, and specifically in regard to gender transitioning that may take place. We cannot have any secrecy policies in this district. Parents need to be notified, and this is an important issue to voters. I mean, we've covered over 6,500 homes in South Redlands and Loma Linda, and this is not a small issue. The other thing I wanted to bring up for the board to consider, it's kind of a new subject, but it's actually a revisitation of an important program that we've had in our nation for many years, and that is the Presidential Fitness Award. And our President Trump has put forward an order, I don't know if it's an order or a recommendation, that schools start to re-implement the presidential fitness test. And this is not a one-party or political issue. This actually, the presidential fitness test was developed initially under John F. Kennedy Jr. and then developed even further under Lyndon Baines Johnson. So this is a bipartisan issue to help get American children better fit and better fitness and get out of this epidemic of obesity that we have here. So in any event, I want to encourage our district to consider incorporating this into the physical education training and programs that we have. And there are three components. There's a portion that's focusing on core strength, and you have the options of doing what are sit-ups or planks, cardiovascular, a 1 mile run versus a 20-meter beep test, upper body strength, either push-ups or pull-ups. So in any event, these are the areas that are focused on this presidential fitness test. And it's estimated that only about the 85th percentile of students in terms of these categories would be able to earn this award. But they have a lesser award called the National Fitness Award, which about 50%, it reaches about 50 percentile in terms of the achievement level. And it's supposed to be available for ages 6 through 18. And I think it would be wise if we incorporated twice-a-year testing to give students an option to be able to earn it at least once during that year. And, of course, you can only earn the award once a year. But the recognition of this award would be very important for students and also put into their records as an achievement that they could bring to their prospective employer.
Thank you, Dale.
great comment from Dr. Dale Broom. He said that he talked about the how the school board refuses to put a policy in place regarding parental notification about any change regarding their child or children's status while on campus, while on school property. And Together for Redlands members have, whenever this policy has come up, they've come out against it because they say it would forcibly out students who are gay or trans. And I take issue with that argument because if these students are gay or trans, then they're probably already publicly out, at least at school. Like their students, their peers, the teachers, the administrators know that they're gay or trans, and the only people that don't know are their parents. So they're not being forcibly outed. Now, the idea that their parents might abuse them or abandon them if they find out that they're gay or trans is an issue that does need to be taken seriously, but the school should tell parents if their child changes their sexuality or changes their gender identity, or if anything happens regarding their child's status that could be deleterious or bad for their child while at school, bad for their mental health or physical health or their school performance, their social life, etc. The school should tell parents unless there is a pressing need not to. And if that is the case, then the child should be removed and social services should get involved. And then he also talked about the how important it is to have to reinstate the Presidential Fitness Award and something else called the National Fitness Award, which is a lesser fitness award, and how it's necessary to encourage and even make mandatory physical fitness at school and stuff. And I agree with him on that. We live right now in a time in our culture in our society where like being fat, even obese, is celebrated. You know, these slogans, healthy at any size and every body is beautiful, and that's just nonsense. Fat advocates are disgusting, not only physically but also because like they put their own comfort at the expense of everybody else. Like if they're like on an airplane going somewhere, they will demand like extra seats because they can't fit in a normal sized seat, and these people take up the space of like 2 or 3 normal sized people, and they need extra seats because of that. And they make the airlines accommodate them, and this is not only inconvenient for the other passengers, but it's also a safety hazard if like they put the plane over its weight limit. And airlines have like a really bad and confusing habit of like charging people extra if their baggage goes over the weight limit, but they have no problems accommodating like these obnoxiously and grossly overweight and fat people who, like I said, are like 2 or 3 times the size of a normal average sized person. And the hypocrisy is just disgusting. So good comment from Dr. Dilbroom. Okay, so that was the end of that's the end of my commentary about the public comment segments for the Redlands Unified School District. I hope it was educational, and if you watch it, I hope you liked what I had to say.